Welcome to another episode of Remember the Great Sports. Today I'm doing a little bit of a tribute video to the recently passed away Hall of Fame baseball legend Joe Morgan. If you haven't already, please definitely check out my Tom Seaver and Lou Brock video that are very, very similar to this, as well as the Bob Gibson video that I kind of threw together on a last minute whim. I know I'm a little bit behind on doing the Joe Morgan video, but Joe Morgan was one of my favorite players growing up as a collector. So I just thought I'd show some unique items in my collection. Some aren't so unique, but some are unique, and some are unique to me as sentimental, such as autographs. So let me just jump right into this. And I actually do indeed have a Joe Morgan rookie card. He shares this card with Sonny Jackson. This is him as a Colt 45. And the Colt 45s were the baseball team in Houston before they changed the name to the Astros. I follow that up with his Rookie Cup card. And these aren't in the best condition. I've had these cards for years in my collection. And I want to say predating graded cards. And as a collector in my youth, I really wasn't too concerned about condition of cards more than I was just having the card. I also, of course, have the following years. I have the 67 tops, where as you can see it's the Astros at this point on the card. And I also have this tops as well, the 68 tops, where it just says Houston and he's not wearing a hat, so you can't tell what the logo is, but obviously Morgan played his first couple seasons with the Astros and Colt 45s. This was before he moved to Cincinnati, where many of you probably remember him the best because he was part of the Big Red Machine. And these are kind of unique, but they're not rare. I don't know how to explain that. And these are just a couple of those Kmart cards from his MVP seasons. 76 and 75. Here's actually the whole box set. Like I said, this set's not rare. You know, you can actually get this set for only a couple bucks still to this day. But it's a pretty neat set to have because basically it has every MVP. Oops. It has every MVP from, I want to say, 1962 maybe to 1981. Give or take. And there's a couple extra cards like a Don Drysdale and Hank Aaron in there. So this is a very cool set. You know, it's the 20th anniversary from 62 to 82 of Kmart, which is kind of neat. So this is kind of a neat, unique set to have. It's beyond me why I never tried to send one of these to Mr. Morgan for an autograph. Not really sure why I didn't try that. Kind of regret that I didn't now, because these would have looked really nice autographed, because they're really just cheap cards, nothing special about them. So we'll move those off to the side, and we'll get to the autographs in a second here. But I was going through my vintage cards, and I had the 74 Reds team checklist, and you can see Joe Morgan's signature right there, or facsimile signature I should say, so I thought that would be a unique little item to show off. Then of course you got to have the Reds team photo. These kind of go side by side in my opinion. And again, I have vintage cards from the 70s, and I just kind of sat down, pulled the box out, and I pulled this one out of that box. And I'm not going to bore you with here are all my Joe Morgan cards because a lot of people can do that on YouTube. But I just wanted to show you that I have tons of cards like this from this era in my collection, and I just, again, wanted to put one out just for show and tell, so to speak. So now we're going to get to some of the more unique items in my collection. And Morgan was kind of a hit and miss when it came to signing autographs through the mail. I've gotten two of these autographs, I want to say last century, meaning in the 1990s. And The last one I'm going to show you I actually got about 3 years ago or so, 2 to 3 years ago. It wasn't that long ago, but this is the first one I ever got from Mr. Morgan, and I've had it in a screw down holder ever since the 1990s. And that is a nice 1980 Topps signed by Morgan. You can see all his stats on the back there. It's signed in ink pen. And I remember sending this to, I want to say, a radio station that maybe he worked at the time in the San Francisco area, Oakland area. I can't remember which. But Morgan went through a phase where he was pretty good about signing one autograph per request. And then he just kind of quit signing altogether. And with that said, I want to say a couple years later, also in the 1990s, I wrote Mr. Morgan again, and I sent him this 84 Topps, which again has been in this holder since, and he signed it. Now, unfortunately, you can see that there is a nice little smear on the G there. And I can't quite tell if that's just a smear or if that's actually Joe's thumbprint. So this very well possibly could be Mr. Morgan's thumbprint that's in this card, but it's hard to tell. Now, I actually got Larry Boa to sign this in person, and my luck continued with this card. As you can see, that got smudged as well. I saw Mr. Boa when I was in, gosh, I want to say high school or something like that. And this is before he was the manager of the Phillies. I want to say he was like their third base coach or something along those lines. And I went to a Phillies game, and he came walking out, and I had this card in my hand. I went up right to Mr. Boa. I said, Mr. Boa, would you mind signing this card? I already got Joe to sign it. And he grabbed it begrudgingly and just kind of signed it really quick and walked off. Well, as an amateur autographer at the time when I was in high school, I must have stuck my finger through it, or maybe he did, I don't know. But so it's smudged. Now, I can say that maybe this doesn't have a lot of value because of the smudges, but to me it has sentimental value. I've never gotten around to getting Mr. Cedeno to sign it, so maybe one day in the future if I run into Cesar Cedeno, I'll get him to sign it and he can smear his autograph on it too, so then I can be 3 for 3 on the smudged autographs on the card. So the most recent autograph I got from Joe was actually on the Donruss Champion set, and I got this about 2 years ago. I want to say 2018, maybe 2017, and it's kind of hard to see because he wrote in thin Sharpie, so I'll hold it up a little bit closer. But this is him as a Philly, which was a very short-lived period of his career. And I'm not really sure why Donruss chose that photo, other than maybe that's who he was playing for at the time, because it would have been much nicer to see him in a Reds outfit or maybe even a Houston outfit in this card. But I sent this to Mr. Morgan, I want to say care of his home, if I'm not mistaken. And this was probably, like I said, about 3 years ago, and he was signing at the time, and I was lucky enough to get this back from him with my request. So very happy to have this oversized autograph in my collection. I thought I had a Hall of Fame plaque of Mr. Morgan, but I, for the life of me, could not find it for this video. I thought I had it. Perhaps maybe I sent it via a TTM request many years ago and I never got it back. That's very possible because, again, Morgan was kind of spotty about signing. Either he signed or he didn't. It was that simple. And I want to say that I probably most likely sent that to him and I just never got it returned. So the final item I want to show with you, and this is the neatest one in my collection by far. This is a dinner program signed on the cover, and it's lightly signed in ink pen so you can barely see it, by Mr. Morgan. It also is signed by Bill Madlock as well. And I'm just going to open this up really quick and show it to you. But this is not about the people in the program. It's more about Joe. But you can see there's well, this is turned to an adult video. Bada bing, 1970s style. But there's a profile on Bill Madlock. He didn't sign his page. And here is the profile on Joe Morgan, talking about his career. And again, it's not signed on this page, but there are others in this book, such as Rich Gossage has already signed, and Jim Cott has not signed. And I know he signs through the mail, but there's no way I'm going to mail this thing in the mail. Hoping one day maybe I'll see him in person, get him to sign that. And it's also, it's not signed by him, it's signed by Manny Trio up there at the top. And Larry Barnett's in here too, and my father actually met Larry Barnett once and didn't have this at the time. And let me go back a couple pages here, because it is also signed by Sparky Anderson. So Joe Morgan's manager of the Reds for many years. So this was kind of a neat little program that I picked up, and I've had this in my collection, probably about 10 years or so. And I picked it up with the Joe Morgan autograph on there. And I want to thank you for taking the time and remembering Joe Morgan. This is kind of some unique items in my collection. You know, most importantly the rookie card, but also the autographs that are kind of unique. I mean, the 80 Topps isn't that unique, but you know, having this one with both of them on there with the smudges and the Action All-Star. Thanks for taking the time. I look forward to hearing comments below. And as always, happy collecting.